Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Monday. It's April 26th. This will be our chart lesson for today, and not much happening today. This is going to be a quick chart lesson because there's not many trades here at all. There's just no setups. It was a really slow, odd day. I mean, really, I thought early on. I looked at another possibility here just to show it to you in case you saw it. Yeah, let's try this one more time. It's going to come right across here like so. I brought it down. And I looked at that and it's very possible that it's still valid because you see we do get a break, a move to a new high, and then we sold off. But really, I think you were better off just playing this range. I mean, we were mostly sideways, and we had a little failed break out the top, finally one out the bottom, and then we went right back in and we stayed in there all the way into the close. So we had this really fast sell off right here, and then even right here I just happened to open my chart back up and prices were ticking here, and just in just a blink it fell 3 bars straight down. So I don't know what happened right there. Something, maybe some news item came out. It doesn't matter. I don't ever even care. If you're playing the price action, you had a failed breakout here, no matter what the news said. And my guess is the failed breakout, the price action always works out. Doesn't matter what the news is. In fact, I believe they write the news to match the price action. I used to spend hours watching the news and trying to get up early in the morning and glean some important information to learn how, to help me with my trading. And it's just all a waste of time. And now that I understand what's going on and I can see this chart, I believe they write the news to fit the price action. Whatever happened that day, they write up the news and they find something that would say why they thought it would sell off here. And guaranteed they can find something. And there might have been some news item, but it doesn't matter because we know on a breakout on a range it's been this going all day. We know it's going to fail. And I mean this one fails quickly, and look, and boom, then it fails out the bottom and gets right back in the range, and then we keep going. So the price action works. We're more interested in the price action than anything. So since we had a few more minutes, I thought I'd talk about that. But let's talk about the trades because this isn't going to take long. 7 o'clock came right as we were bottoming out and turning up here. And notice you got a new low. You go first entry, you shoot through the MA, you pull back, and it fails. And so you get a failed second entry right there. I marked this one green because it didn't get back to the EMA. Generally, you like it to set up off the EMA, but this is not that far from the EMA, and it is right off that key entry point trend line. So when it breaks above this red bar, you might want to go with it. Let me zoom in a little more here just to make this easier to see. And so you may want to go long right there. Turns out to be a nice trade. It takes it a minute to get going, but you can clearly see that trend line. We work on up, and then we finally get a break, a couple of legs up to a new high. I don't see any more longs there, and I don't see any real opportunity to go short yet. This is too congestive. No reason to go long here. In fact, if you draw your short-term trend line, there's just no reason to go long yet. And we work back up, and unfortunately, you don't get a chance to go back up. You're working up, you get a break, a new high. This is one you got a little congestion here, so you got this little failed. So this is a failed breakout. The problem is you don't have a lot of room back to these lows, but that's another one you could argue for. You could argue for it to at least be green. I'm not crazy about it because at that point I was still looking at a possible, maybe we had a flatter channel going up. And then we work into this tight. Look how tight this got. Really from 9:30 to 10 o'clock. Even when we broke out, it still continued for till 10:30 or so before we started trending down. So there's just not much happening there. In the end, I think you have a big, I use the yellow range, but really I think the yellow was just for this part right here. I think you would have been better off playing this like so. maybe even like this. And then looking at this other as a little bigger channel here, like so. We'll just make that one maybe green. So that's what I saw basically. And we're just chopping around. And when you get down in this tight yellow one, I did mark this because it gives you enough room to get out before getting back to here. And you can clearly see we're turned up every time. So you may take that one. The key is if you got enough room, you might take it. And we run up here to the top, try to go higher once, twice, it fails, gives you a nice bearish bar. It's pretty much the same thing as this, but we've got a little more consistency across that top. It's been going on for a long time. I felt like this one was worth making red. And this one you could argue for it to be blue, but generally you want to see it turn up quicker. And look how long we've been stuck down here. There's no rejection. Here you get a triple test, and usually after triple test you'll get the rejection. And we didn't get any. Or we didn't get it. We didn't get any down here off these, and you can see we turned lower off of that one. So this one's real close to being green, and this one's real close to being blue. They're almost identical trades. So it's just that by this time we were really starting to work up and down, up and down. So you would expect we'd at least come back down to here. Turns out we get another trend that works all the way down. It turns out to be two-tiered, really. But this was the best trade, really, of the day. Notice the new high. We try to go higher once. We shoot through the MA, pull back, try to go higher twice. Fairly bearish bar. You got room back down to here. Hopefully it continues on, and we're headed back down to here. And sure enough, it just keeps going. And then we start finding support down here. Again, you don't really get a good chance to enter until you actually get a triple test. Notice you made that low, you test it once, you test it twice, but it doesn't trigger. And so when it triggers here, you might take that one because really that's a fourth attempt. Look how many times we've tried to go lower there, and it just keeps failing. So you might take that one. And then that was it. I mean, then it just kind of slows down, and from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock, we don't make but a dozen bars there maybe. So volatility's low. The not much movement at all. We were stuck in really a 41.77. Let's just call it 78 to 85. So it's not even a 10-point range really. It's only 7 or 8 points for the most part, and we spent a good bit of it this morning stuck right in this little small 3 or 4 point range. So it just wasn't much happening today. Just not a lot of chance, and there's not much you can do with a day like this. If you try to force one, guess what? You'll probably end up with a loser. So don't try to force a trade on days like this. If you can't stand it, just get up and leave and go enjoy the day. It was nice here. I wanted to get up and just leave and go outside, enjoy the day, and but you know you got to take one or the other. If you're patient enough and disciplined enough to sit here, then by all means, a trade will come along eventually. And we eventually got a couple here today, but you had to sit till 10 o'clock almost, and then you were done by 11 o'clock almost. So, but that's what it takes to be a good trader. So just don't try to force trades. Try to be as relaxed and patient as you can be. And if you're having trouble with that, get up and walk away for a little while, get up and leave for the day, whatever it takes. Don't let your subconscious talk you into a bad trade, because that's what happens. That little voice starts talking and says, man, I need to make some money. I need to make a trade. And it really gets loud after you had a loser. So let's say you entered over here early and you had a loser somehow. Then you're wanting a revenge trade and get it back. And I've been talking to another trader about that. And if you want to be successful at this, you can't revenge trade, because if you have a loser and you can't shake it off and you go back to trading and you're trying to get your money back and you're trying to revenge trade, you're usually just going to dig the hole deeper. Don't ask me why, but that's the way it works out. So don't waste your money. Stay with it. And if you can't, stay with it and stay patient. And if you can't, get up and walk away. So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. There's no sense in dragging this on today. Just wasn't, I mean, this looks like a holiday trading day almost. So just wasn't anything going on. But I want to wrap it up. We'll be back again tomorrow. Hopefully we'll have a little better day tomorrow. I don't know where prices are going. I think we're overdone to the upside, and I think we're starting to run out of steam. We could quickly look at a daily chart, and you can see we're way oversold up here. And we did have a little bit of correction, so we could start working higher again. But we're overdue for a larger correction. So who knows? It's a lot harder to time this on a daily chart because a few bars, you might have to wait a few extra bars even once you're starting to, even though you know we're getting oversold up here, it might go higher for 3 or 4 more bars, which that's no big deal on a 2,000 tick or a 5-minute chart. But when you're talking about a daily chart, that could be a large move. So it's a little harder to narrow it down on these daily charts, but we're way overdone. We've been above that purple or burgundy line for the longest, and we've been bumping just underneath that brown line. Generally, when you shoot through it, that's when you know you're probably going to get a correction. But you can see we shot through it here, and it didn't correct much more than it did right now. So, and look how long it was before we finally did get a correction. So you just never know. This thing has been on fire, a lot of money. They talked about, I read something the other day about how much money and how much retirement funds are going into the market right now. It's like historic highs. So this thing could keep going. So never rule it out that it's, I mean, we can be oversold or overbought for the longest. And so that's why I teach people and try to tell people, don't try to pick tops, because if you tried to pick tops here, you'd have probably got burned. Once, maybe twice, you could have picked a top here and it sold off. The rest of the time, you're going to get burned. And you don't want to get burned on a daily chart because you're looking at costing you some money. So anyway, there it is. It's been straight up since the open of this contract. And we opened at the very low and we're trading at the very high right now. So be prepared for a sell-off, but don't try to anticipate it. Wait till the market shows you. Okay, I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. Hopefully we'll get a little something more going on tomorrow. I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next